Next, I'm taking you to rolling hill country in Manawatu to meet a couple in the Paddock-to-plate business. Not only do they produce free-range eggs, they also have the eggs and other locally made food delivered direct to their customers.
I'm Scott Jimmieson, and I'm from Local Food New Zealand.
And I'm Emma Poole, but soon to be Emma Jimmieson, and I'm also from Local Food New Zealand.
We are in Halcombe. Halcombe's about 15 minutes outside of Feilding in the Manawatu, and on a lifestyle block which is about 35 hectares, where we've built up a chicken business on top of my parents' land.
Just walking down from our little barn down to the chicken shed, just a little mosey down the driveway.
You can see the barn from home.
Yes, yeah. So very communal here. So Scott's parents live at the end of the driveway and we're just a little further down, and then the chicken's a bit further down from there.
Now, this used to be a deer farm, didn't it? I can see the tall fences.
Yeah, it was essentially built as a deer farm. I think it was in the 60s or 70s. My parents ran deer on this property, and then after the market not going too well, they decided to shut down the deer and use it as heifer grazing for quite a few years. And then that's where I've come in and turned it into chickens.
And when did the business start?
So we started the business in 2016. We started with 500, and we used the original deer shed that was on the property as a structure, and we built nesting boxes with plywood that was from the deer shed walls and things like that. So that's how we started.
Bonnie.
I can see a couple of chickens down there.
Bonnie, she rounds them up to bring them back for us. Yeah.
So you do get the odd escapee from that
they
paddock.
love it. Any gap in the fence, they'll be out. But the good thing, unlike sheep and cattle, they hate the dark. So when it's dark, they go straight back into their house at night. So we don't really have to worry about that too much.
And we're approaching this large shed. And how many chickens have you got in here, Scott?
So there's 5,000 in this shed. This was built in 2019, which is my first big, I suppose, investment into the business world. And it's fully automated with automatic feeders and water and nesting boxes and conveyor belts, and it was a big purchase for me.
Quite a step up from the 500 bird shed up the top where we've just come from.
Yep. It was. There was a lot of, I suppose, the first 3 or 4 years in business, it was a lot of just going around in circles, and we felt like we were just standing still and, not really getting further ahead. But at some point, it just seemed the ice cube melted to a point where it took off, and we were able to expand, and it hasn't slowed down since, I suppose.
Should we get out of this chilly wind?
The Manawatu one.
Scott and Emma's local food brand offers other products too, but organic free-range eggs are the mainstay of the business, aiming to take produce direct from the farm gate to the consumer. And it's a truly family affair. I'm in the van with Craig Jimmieson, Scott's dad, and we're off delivering eggs.
Off to deliver eggs, and we're around to, I've forgotten the address, but the map will tell us. And it's just up here.
We've just come to a little cul-de-sac here in Paraparaumu.
And I'll just hop out and I'll... Fortunately, the van's only got one sliding door on this side.
One tray of eggs.
A tray of eggs. A tray of 30. And we just put them by the front door. Yeah, I'll give all your knocks, just let them know they're there, then we're off again.
So do you break many eggs?
You have the odd whoopsie, like if you break too suddenly or someone pulls out in front of you, or you've got to be very careful how they're stacked in the back. There was one day that there was a sea of eggs in the back, and I had to go to the supermarket and buy copious amounts of paper towels and whatnot. And I wasn't Yeah.
Scrambled eggs.
Yeah. I was not a happy chappy. That's a great service for them. It's delivered to their back door with a smile. Yeah.
Do you get
good.
to chat to your customers?
Quite often you do, yeah. You get to chat. There was one lady I talked to before. She was, because Scott and Emma were married last weekend, and so she was all keen to know about the wedding and how well it went, and yeah, quite a few of them have been asking about the wedding. Yeah.
Pretty cool, isn't it? So it's kind of a connection with your customers.
Yeah, no, it's great. You just have a bit of chat and you get to know them, and some you never see, but some you see all the time. So it's amazing at all sorts of people that get the eggs, and you can go through the the flash areas and the not so flash areas, and yeah, it's just quite even.
We'll leave Craig to it on the Kapiti coast and head back to the farm near Halcombe, where Emma can be found collecting the eggs when she's not working at her other job as a radiographer.
The hens lay their eggs in their nesting boxes, and they're all on slanted slope floors. They'll roll down onto a conveyor belt that's in the middle of the shed, and then we're standing at the end of the shed picking those eggs up. So it just keeps them nice and clean and makes our job a lot easier.
And this is a good job for you because
Yes.
you're not that keen on chickens.
No, chickens were never, and just in birds in general, I'm not a fan. So I'll deal with the eggs and the paperwork, but Scott's definitely on the chickens.
It's lucky Scott doesn't mind chickens. There are plenty of them on the other side of the wall. And weirdly, given the cacophony of clucking you're about to hear, he needs to let them know when he's coming in.
So you've got to knock 3 times just so the birds don't get a fright. It just, it's one of those things. Yeah, so there's 5,000 inside this shed, split into half. So we've got 2,000 on the right side of the shed, 2,500 on the right side of the shed, and 2,500 on the left side of the shed. So, but they're free to come and go outside. They come in about this time to have food and water, and then in the afternoon they'll all go out again before the sun goes down. They spend most of the time outside, probably from 9 a.m. till 11 a.m. and come in for lunch, and then head back outside again until the sun goes down.
So why chickens? Well, after some travel and a stint dairying, Scott was keen to be his own boss. But there were a few twists and turns before this free-range egg production business really took off.
As the chickens were growing, I was thinking the entire time that, as I grow the egg business, I'm going to have to learn how to sell those eggs at some point. So I thought, well, the best initiative would be to get a job in sales, and I could use that income to put into my business, and then in turn I'd learn something as well. And a job actually popped up in the local town Fielding for selling cars, and I thought, well, that'd be a great business to get into, because when you're selling stuff, you're negotiating, you're learning how to talk to people, customer service. There's a broad range of skills that you're learning, and I think a lot of my mates thought I was crazy and a bit weird at the time to get into selling cars. Yeah, every day was challenging and a bit different, but it was definitely worth it, and I'd strongly suggest anyone wanting to get into their own business, go sell cars for a couple of years and you'll fast track a degree.
Is it tough?
Yeah, that's tough, and you've got to have...
And like all the financing, you learnt all that stuff too, eh?
Yeah, learning how to self-finance and write finance contracts and things like that. When I was dairy farming, I wasn't getting any exposure to any of the actual core business stuff, just cupping cows, and you just went out there every day.
And you were in touch with your consumer more.
Yeah, exactly. So I learned a lot of the power and people really want to deal with people that they know and they trust, and a lot of the lessons that I learned from selling cars is the reason why McVeary Crawford Motors was strong business in our small town, is because they really kept in touch with their customer base, and they were very loyal and whatnot. So I learned that and portrayed it into eggs, and there was a stage there where I was selling eggs in my office while I was selling cars, and essentially it was that whole thing of getting eggs and cars at the same time.
Did you pop a tray of eggs in the car when you sold it?
Yeah, I definitely did a few negotiations where I say to give away a couple of free trays of eggs. So
It was not easy
getting the finance together for this business, was it?
No. They do say like 0 to 1 in building a business is the hardest, and then 1 to 10 it's coasting from there. And I think that is very true to a certain degree. 0 to 1 for me was essentially coming back from England with nothing to my name. I'd spent it all on travelling and living the dream. But I came back and was driven enough to want to get from 0 to 1, and nothing was going to get in my way. Yeah, when I first started, I presumed you could go in and just get a loan from the bank and they would give you whatever money you wanted and you'd go and chase your dreams and life was great. But I sort of got laughed out of the door, I think, after the first meeting with them, when they sort of didn't believe what I said I was going to do. And so I had to really think deep about how I was going to do it. And I think the key there for me, looking back, was when you get those sort of obstacles appear in your life, you just got to really sit back and think about it, and it's more how are you going to do this next step, not just give up and walk away.
Were there moments when you wanted to walk away?
Yeah. It happens often in business. I think anyone that owns a business will agree with me there, that there's a lot of down days that you're thinking, what are you doing this for? There's also a lot of ups in those days as well, and that you feel like you've just fulfilled something that's bigger than yourself, The big thing that when I think back and reflect on everything to this point, was having a lot of support from my parents. Yeah, when I started, without their support, I just wouldn't have coped, essentially. I was dairy farming, you're starting at 5 a.m. and getting home at 6, and you've still got chickens to sort out and things like that. So my father actually took a lot of the brunt of the day-to-day operations, and a lot of that time we were unviable. I knew it was working, we just had to scale it. But yeah, mum and dad, still to this day, they help out a lot. And without them, we really wouldn't have been able to achieve what we have to this point. And dad's still working for us now, delivering eggs, and he's got great customer service.
Yeah.
He's got great chat when he's dropping eggs off.
People love Craig.
Yeah.
He's very personable.
Hi.
Hi.
Here's the eggs.
Well, thank you.
Okay, have a good one.
Beautiful.
Great day.
Thank you very much.
What's your name?
Charlene.
Charlene. You've got a tray of quite a few eggs there.
Yep. They get delivered every week and nice and fresh. I also get my mum eggs delivered to her.
You'd rather get them this way than going to the supermarket?
Yep, so I know they're fresh.
What are you going to make with those eggs?
We have scrambled eggs, omelettes, bacon, whatever. Yeah.
See ya.
This is a little bit like returning to the old days.
Yeah, it is. It is. Like when I was a young guy at college, you used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning doing the milk runs and pushing the trolleys around the town. And yeah, it's
Do you think you'd be doing that again?
No. No, I was a little bit fitter then.
COVID was a real kickstart for your business, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we set up local food in 2019, and the idea was to start distributing our own products to cafes and restaurants and to people's houses and things like that. And it was coasting along, and we were sort of getting our head around the business and starting off, and then COVID happened and we went into lockdown, and people really wanted to order stuff online because they had no choice, essentially. So we strapped on the helmet and just started promoting ourselves on Facebook and more, and we built up this big customer base from home deliveries while all the cafes were shut down. And it was a busy first lockdown. We were pretty stressed out. I lost a few years off my life.
Scott and Emma have big plans for their local food brand.
Local Food NZ is essentially an online farm shop. We aim to connect whole foods that are produced in New Zealand direct with the consumer. So we have free-range eggs. Olive oil is produced locally through Rara Olives as well. We have honey, which they've got some hives from down under honey. Their honey's on our property. What else have we got at the moment, Emma? You take over.
This is probably more my area of expertise. Scott deals with the chickens and I deal with the local food brand. But and then we've just taken on some asparagus. And so one of our neighbours, she contacted us and said, I've just taken on a runoff block and it has asparagus on it, and kind of like, what do we do? How do we sell it? So it was awesome, and it's fresh and delicious. So yeah, Anna Satinovic and her family pick it and drop it off once a week, and we sort of pre-order it, and we can distribute it right down to Wellington. We do Kapiti. I suppose even before I met Scott, I was a really big believer in like investing in your food. Like, you've got to invest in your food now, otherwise you'll pay for it later. So then obviously when I met him and he sort of had this local food business, it was perfect, eh? So
That's what drew you to him.
The car salesman and the chicken farmer,
amazing
not
blue
so
eyes.
much. Yeah. So then direct to market, people know where the food's coming from. They can sort of have a connection to like how much work goes into it, and just how does asparagus picked and things like that, or how the eggs are made. And so having that connection with your food, the farmers that produce it. And I think growing up, people have lost that connection with the farmers that produce their food, like how much effort goes into it and how they're really striving to produce a really good product.
Logistically, it must be a bit of a nightmare getting all these products out all over the place, and you're going further afield now.
Yes, definitely. We've got really awesome staff members, and without them we couldn't make this work, but we've got 2 delivery drivers, Craig, which is Scott's dad, and Mike, who's a local from Halcombe. They sort of take control of that. They load up their vans 4 days a week and head down to a couple of days in Wellington, Kapiti, Manawatu. And then on a Tuesday, I just started sending out some courier orders. Yeah, we've had a few requests in some small towns, Taumaranui, Havelock North, Paihiatua. They go to another small like greengrocer or butchery, and people can come and buy them from there.
And they've put in an order so they know their order is there.
Yeah, and it's sort of, like you said, it all just helps. It brings people into their shops. It still has our logo on it. They still know the story. And it's just trying to get people to know where their food comes from.
You don't want to go into supermarkets?
Not at this stage. The paperwork is pretty intense, but we like the flexibility where we have control and we know who our customer is. I suppose the supermarket's not clipping that middle ticket.
What other products do you want to bring on?
Like you said, as long as it's locally produced, high quality. At this stage, it has to be practical. We are delivering to home delivery. Sometimes they're sitting outside people's homes. So products that are, a bit more hardy, that can sort of sit outside for an hour or so. So maybe some more vegetables. We're always sort of interested in looking into some more products.
You're open to people contacting you?
Supporting my own family's sheep and beef, so I'd love a meat product, but that comes with some complications. But yes, definitely even a raw milk or a dairy product. Those core products that are New Zealand produced and, actually add some value to your nutrition.
How big is this business going to get? Because you have got other barns, haven't you, located near the coast?
Yeah. So we have invested into another poultry farm, which has just given us a lot more scope to expand.
Yeah, like we want to actually make an impact on our community, but also support others, like you said, our neighbours, or Gay and Haim across the river with their olives. Like, we really want to make an impact, not just in our community, but throughout New Zealand, that get back to knowing your farmers, knowing where your food comes from, whether that's with us with just eggs. You never know, we might move into something else, but building a scalable business with the eggs to start off with, and then going from there, really.
In our total facility, we've got about 40,000 laying birds at the moment, and every day's a bit different, but yeah, we hope to just take it step by step, essentially.
We see that even with the local food vision, it'd be nice to grow it to a size where we could really support what's important to us. Like, we love, running and cycling and supporting like local teams. Like, get to the point where we're big enough that we can actually really give back to our community, and even like you produce and supply some charities with food. And
getting into a position where we're in a position to give back is probably the most important thing to us. Yeah, we're getting there.
When do you get time to do the running and the biking?
We squeeze it in there.
Yeah, this morning at 6 a.m. We've got one in. So
you went first at 6, and then I did some work, and then I went at 7. So,
and what's the next event coming up?
Because we're getting married in a couple of weeks, December's sort of usually like Ironman territory, but we might have to postpone that one. So, we just love a bit of trail running. Maybe it's actually a local event in Hunterville in February that we might do. We always sneak off to try and do one down south normally in the snow, hey? Yeah. In the winter when things are a bit more quiet, so.
Obviously a very busy couple. And when I visited in December, a wedding coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So time to leave them to it, but not before a final look at the chooks, where it's anything but quiet.
You see, if you turn around now, they'll all just start following you down. Yeah, they're a unique species. They've all got their own little personality. They're quite inquisitive, and I really enjoy farming them.
So they have this large paddock to roam around in.
Yeah.
Do they like being outside?
They're quite fussy. They like overcast days. The sunshine sort of freaks them out a little bit. Birds of prey, they feel a bit unsafe when it's really sunny. So if it's really hot and sunny, they'll be under the trees. But dusk, they love dusk, don't they? They'll be all out grazing and scratching around. And they don't like wind too much either, eh? They'll be often hiding under the trees and stuff if it's really windy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just, they're females, they're fussy. Yeah. They don't want the rain. Yeah, no. They're like us, they're girls, yeah.
Emma Jimmieson and Scott Jimmieson outside their barn of laying hens near Halcombe in Manawatu. You also heard from Scott's dad, Craig Jimmieson.